Don't you just want to thrive, glow up, and live your most amazing life this summer? Well, what a coinkydink that you're here. That's what we're gonna do this summer, and that's exactly what we do on this channel. Hello everybody, and welcome back to yet another video on my channel, which is also another episode of my podcast. This is called Healing, which is also on Spotify. So if you're not following me there as well, what are you doing? I am very excited about today's episode, and I know I say that a lot, but I've just been feeling a lot of momentum again about the things that I want to share and the things that I want to do. And I'm kind of sensing that you guys are on the same page where you're really looking to change your lives. And of course, this is yet another episode of the Best Self series. So if you haven't watched those episodes yet, please go back on my channel. I will link them in the description box or somewhere around here so you can catch up and join the challenge where we are becoming our best selves together. I hope you stay for the whole video, but just so you know, these are the points that we will go over. Now, I am not new to this whole idea of glowing up, having the most magical summer, or picturing what your most ideal summer would be and who you are, and you're sipping drinks on a beach. And then sometimes summer rolls around and you didn't get to create your dream body. You didn't really get around to doing much of the things that you wanted to before summer. Why not make this summer the best that it can possibly be with whatever circumstances you have? And I don't even care if you're in Australia or anywhere else and it's technically not summer, just spend the season and do it with us. For the first time ever on this channel, I do have a glass of wine today. This is the first time that I'm actually recording very late, even though it doesn't get dark until like 10 p.m. where I live. But I just wanted to celebrate the fact that even if it's a small goal, we have officially hit over 500 subscribers and hopefully many more to come. So cheers to that. Get a snack, get a drink, get a notebook for sure, because we are in the process of changing our lives and you're gonna need to take notes. Cheers. Now, this is not gonna be a video where I'm just gonna give you a bunch of different things that you're gonna do and then we'll all do the same things. And then you have a set sleep schedule, you have a diet and a workout that I give you. That's not what we're doing here. The main point of my Best Self series is for us to, yes, come together and be in a community, but to find our own specific paths and really learn how to grow into our own best versions. So this is going to require you to be active and really get into yourself and be willing to take responsibility for yourself. And also, I have quite a few other videos where I do go into depth when it comes to habits, changing your life, like tools to use such as journaling, getting up at 5 a.m., all of these great things. But I just want to talk very specifically about the things that I listed in this video. So definitely go supplement with those other videos if you want, because I don't want you guys that are returning to just sit here and just listen to me regurgitate the same stuff over and over again. And we are just jumping right into it. Now, first things first, this specific summer is gonna be all about the one thing, the one goal. Your plan freaking A. The main thing that I do want here is give out the wisdom that I've gathered in my life, the things that I'm currently learning, and the things that I have learned and the ways that I've progressed. But this is the way that I'm actively changing my life currently. And if you look at my past videos, I've kind of been talking about that thing of where I've just been waiting for too long and you just kind of get stuck in that waiting phase. And the number one thing I believe we're going to get out of this crazy stagnancy is by choosing a goal, by letting ourselves really get deep into, no, actually, what is my plan A? What really is my passion? And then daring to say, if I go all in on this, what do I have to lose? Because really, you probably wasted a lot of time in your life already. And I definitely fall into that category of, I have so many great ideas and then I don't always execute. Then when I go back to the idea, the magic is gone. So while we are out here becoming our best selves, we are pursuing that one thing with absolute intentional living. No more living for the plot, but actively creating our own story. This is not about punishment or going into monk mode. This is not about that. This is also not about having a reckless summer and just doing whatever we feel like. Living for the plot is such a flawed premise. I just saw a clip on TikTok where Alex Cooper, if you're a part of the Daddy Gang, she talked about, the summer is all about having a fun situationship. This is not the time to get serious. And I was just like, this is the opposite of what this video is about. We are not out here looking for situationships. We are not out here looking for random things, random people that don't complement the person we want to become or the life we are trying to create for ourselves. And I think really, really honing in on one aspect, one thing, one goal that we want to pursue is going to really, really align us with so many other positive things in our lives. And I think because we try to always half-ass things because we are so overwhelmed, or just because we're always trying to do or want to do everything, and we think that if I cut off all of these things, that means that maybe I'll miss out on something. But the problem is you're missing out on almost all of it if you don't. I talked to this woman the other day, and she told me about her friend that she used to know, who is now a very popular actor, and kind of just the way that he started and how he never thought that he would become an actor, but he didn't use his education because he didn't feel like it, but he ended up being a fitness instructor, and through that, he kind of just got discovered. But he wouldn't have if he didn't just decide, this doesn't align with me, but I don't necessarily want to be this thing, but I like being active, I like teaching, all of these things, and then that put you in the right spot. So sometimes you just have to follow those nudges and be willing to break the stagnation. And again, all the things that I'm telling you are things that I am actively working through myself, because I want to see me live a happy life. I want to see me have progress in life, and I want to see you guys have progress. So to sum up, you're not living for the plot, you are writing your own goddamn story. That doesn't mean it can't be the most amazing story ever. What I love so much about someone who's turning 30 next year, it sounds crazy, but I am, and to know that, that one of my favorite shows is Sex and the City, and I do love Carrie. As messy as she is, I love Carrie, but knowing that almost all of them were in their early 30s in season 1. And when you see that, you think, oh, they were so young and naive, and it's like the fun start of the show. And then you think of yourself in life and you just think, oh my God, when I hit 30, I just need to have absolutely everything figured out. And I need to be this very grown-up person who just forever sits in the same spot where she has everything figured out, which is such a stupid and crazy thing when you think about it. Because it's like, what is life? It's progress, it's growth, it's change. Hopefully. Now, a lot of people sit in the stagnancy and they get comfortable, which is why they also turn to bad habits, and they probably become bitter people. They become people that they can't recognize. Not saying that everyone wants to do these grandiose things, because sometimes you see quote unquote normal people and it's their attitude that really makes them who they are, and which is why they inspire us. But if we're honest with ourselves, what do we see most of out in the world? Is it negativity or positivity? When you go to work, do you hear a lot of people who are just so excited, or is it a lot of gossip? And all I'm saying is, what kind of person do you want to be? Because at the end of the day, the places that you spend the most time is the person that you're going to become. So choose freaking wisely. Now, next, I really want to ask you guys, especially the ones that have already been very active, which I'm so appreciative of. Would you guys like it, and would you participate if I did create some kind of community where we could interact way more than just through these videos? So if I created a group for us to be active on, where we have actual tasks, we even maybe have live sessions, we have books that we go through, and we have a lot of accountability moments where I, of course, also share a lot of my progress and what I'm going through, because where we can make it more of an active thing. Because let's face it, I watched a lot of these kind of videos, and even though I've learned a lot, you can get stuck in that loop of motivation and not gaining momentum. Honestly, I think I'm going to make that a video. Choose momentum over motivation. And that's the whole point of choosing one thing. When you're actively creating something, that's when that stagnant energy starts moving and you start letting in the right things. When I started losing weight about 9-10 years ago at this point, I couldn't see how I was going to do it. But becoming a healthy, fit person who took on a bunch of different fitness challenges and stuff like that turned me into a completely different person. But that was not an overnight thing where I was just like, now my identity has changed. But I decided to fully, wholeheartedly channel most of my energy into saying, I want to lose weight. I want to be healthy. When I look in the mirror, I am so unhappy, and it's really affecting every area in my life. And then I had this dark voice that would tell me, that's not going to change anything. That's not going to matter. And that's why for so long, I was just stuck in this loop of emotional eating and weighing like 60-ish pounds more, which, let's face it, if I didn't kind of get a hold on myself at around 19, I would probably have been a lot heavier now. But it really just shows the power of channeling your energy into one thing and the way that it opens up your life. So please let me know if you would want more of a community that's more active. Now, one thing you will need to do is create a best self baseline. Now, what is that, you might ask? Well, it's kind of just the whole strategy for changing your entire life, but it's taking all the overwhelm out of it. So we need to start somewhere, meaning we need to create a baseline. And that baseline is going to be different for each one of us. You're going to start out just looking at the summertime and saying, how would my best self live during this summer? Then what are the let's just say five most important things or elements that I would need to implement into my life? First, you probably need to think about, do I need to clear some things? Because I know for me, yes, I've been going through such a transformational period where I feel like I just don't resonate with almost any of who I used to be. I'm going into my last year of school before I have my master's. I just switched to a job that I think I'm gonna love so much more, even though I do want to work for myself long term. But that means that right now I have 2 humongous bags of clothes and other things that I am getting rid of, donating, and selling. I've done this plenty of times, but this time it's like the huge clearance section. And it's because I told myself I need to clear and sell before I just start buying. And before I start buying, I need to create an actual online wardrobe capsule for myself. So that means taking pictures of the things that I own so that I can see it in front of me and so that I can make actual outfits that would resonate with the person I want to be. And that can sound silly to some people, but it really matters. Like how you represent yourself, how you feel about what you're wearing and how you look really matters. And I have a lot of days where I end up just kind of, I have this thing in my head and then it just doesn't look the way that I thought it would. And so really taking the time to understand, maybe it's because I'm not actually trying different things and I'm not learning, I'm not putting these outfits together, is the reason why my wardrobe and my outfits aren't looking Pinterest worthy. So really take a look around and say, do I have unfinished ideas? Notebooks like me. What about my laptop? What about my phone? Again, the closet is probably a big one. Even your fridge, how you're organizing your cabinets. What do I just feel like is a lesser version of me than who I want to be? Then bravely get rid of those things, then commit to changing that so you can add on to it. And let's remember, this isn't about what you would do, but what the best version of yourself would do in your situation, okay? So don't get discouraged either, because this is about having your best self help the current self. Then you're going to find out what are the habits that would contribute most to my daily life right now. And we're going to make it a routine. So you should probably look at morning routine, night routine, sleep, obviously a part of the night routine, and do a cleaning schedule. Very important. So a cleaning schedule could be setting aside 15 minutes a night before you're too tired to make sure that you just tidy up. Then have one specific day for each room you're gonna clean. On these days, I vacuum. On these days, I do this, this, and this. It's gonna be different for each of us. I have a very small apartment. It's not that much, but it just gets filled up very quickly. The baseline for your morning routine. How is it gonna align with the one goal I gave myself? If your main goal has to do with your body, maybe it could be getting up early and going for a walk. As that could be such a great thing to start in during the summer. And again, you might not be on vacation. You might not have a lot of time off. I don't. But I just still feel like it's summer. It's that time where I can take some time for myself. There's just something in the air, you know? Now, I will give you some stuff that's on my baseline just so you can kind of look at it and be like, do I resonate with this? Is this something I would want to implement? And if not, what is it? And I would really love to know in the comments, what are some things that you are choosing so that we can inspire each other. For me, I know this is going to sound crazy, but for at least the rest of July, and today it is July 5th, I'm going to be getting up every single morning at 4:30 a.m. The reason is I am so much more productive when I get up very early. And that means that it's around the time that the sun rises. And I don't like getting up when it's been up for a long time and when everyone else is up and it's already noisy outside. And that will complement my deep work sessions, which is one thing that will really help my main goal. I'm someone who is kind of bad at getting enough sleep. So I'm going to be making the Sleepy Girl mocktail quite a lot. And I'm going to try my hardest to actually get more than 6 hours of sleep per night. I'm going to have dinner earlier than I normally do. I got this cute robe and slipper so that I can kind of put that on at night and then have a more romanticized night routine. I'm going to incorporate reading on most nights. And with skincare, I'm going to make sure that I double cleanse. I'm also implementing morning meditation almost every single morning. If I can't, then I'll do it later on. But I've just found that I don't think it helps me too much at night because I'm just so tired that I don't think I'm really taking it in. Pro tip, download a meditation and set it as your alarm. You are welcome. I have some pretty specific goals with my body, which means I'm going to be very specific about my protein intake and the kind of workouts I do because I want to get my first pull-up and I want to get really close to doing the splits. So obviously I'm going to have to actively work towards that. And another thing is, as I'm cheersing you guys, this will be, at least for the summer, the last glass of wine that I have on my own, because during 75 Hard and having done that several times, I've learned how to kind of thrive without alcohol and at least on my own. And so for me, I'm choosing that I don't need that during the summer. It's probably the time where I would normally have the most drinks. So if I'm out socializing, sure, have a drink, have a glass of wine, but don't overdo it. At home, I've really come to enjoy mocktails, even the Sleepy Girl mocktail. And another pro tip, if you can find it where you live, sparkling tea. You can get it non-alcoholic and you can get it with only 5%, but it tastes heavenly. So that is one thing that I'm really going to change with diet and alcohol. Because kind of having like a wild summer, you can have a very social summer, but having a wild sort of summer where you're on the beach, you're out partying, all these things, just really look within yourself and ask, is that the kind of life I want to live right now? Is that really the way that I want to become my best self? Is that going to facilitate that person and that life? Another goal that I have is, for so freaking long, I've just wanted to get back into dancing. There's just something about it that calls me often. But then I want to do so many other things. I just started Reformer. I love Pilates and yoga. I love hot yoga. I got into boxing a couple of months ago and I freaking love it. And I'm not saying that I can't do both, but it just goes back to, do you want to become really good at something? Do you want to really find out more of your potential in something and really explore it? You can't do that if you do everything once a week. The thing is, my friend is going to be very disappointed because we go to boxing together and I really do like it. And I can take as many classes as I want because there are so many of them. I don't know where to go for the kind of dancing that I want to do. So that's something I'm going to have to go and seek out. And there's just always that uncomfortable feeling of starting something and looking stupid. But I've come to the point in my life where I trust my intuition enough to know that if I'm being called to something, it has something to teach me. Please take that with you. If you keep having a desire or if you feel called to something, your intuition is trying to tell you something and there is something for you to learn there. Now with these goals, I have bought some stuff for my home, which means that I'm going to, within the next few days, set up kind of like, as much as I can, a little office for myself, which also means I have to start becoming handy, which is not too easy. But that's another way for me to get closer to my goal, which my main goal is to actually have this, getting closer to starting an actual business, finding places that aren't just at home to do it, but also this thing as my main priority, because it's just always been on the back burner for me, which is ridiculous if it's the thing that I want to do more than any of the other things that I do. So again, can you see how I'm trying to look at ways that I can facilitate the things I want to do and my goals and the person that I want to become. I also still want to be social, but I want to find people that I resonate with more. I've been contacting these people where I can go to kind of like these more public offices with people who want to do the same things. And again, just even setting something up that isn't just a messy desk, but a place where I do my deep work, where I do stuff that is relevant for what I want to do. Making that look different even changes so much. Going to find the places to dance is me seeking out the things that will help. So that is how you're actively going to do it. Because I've been in hermit mode long enough. I've gone through the dark night of the soul. I've gone through these times where I've been alone and I've learned from it, but I've just also come to the point where I know that's not where I'm going to gain any more wisdom. And now, especially if you're a girl, please listen to this point that I want to touch upon. What kind of love life would you actually like? And this really counts, especially if you're single, if you have fallen into the habit of being in situationships, finding emotionally unavailable men. I'm just going to be vulnerable for a second here and say I have been someone who has been more on the avoidance side my entire life until I learned my pattern was actually going for very emotionally unavailable men. until late 22 to late 23, where I had the absolute worst experience with a guy where I was on and off with for a year who was just toxic and awful. And even though it's probably something I'm going to look back on having been one of the biggest learning lessons in my life, that shit destroyed my heart. Like the way that broke me, the way that it changed me, the way that it made me feel all the worst feelings in the world, I felt like I was numb for months after. And still, this is a guy that I'm thinking about almost daily. After I ended it, I haven't had contact with him for 7 or 8 months, I think it is, at least actually. And I'm so proud of that because sometimes I get so mad at myself for being like, why am I still thinking about this? But that's just part of the healing. The fact that I'm not going back again, the fact that I'm doing the inner work and I'm trying to find out what it is within me, that is called healing. He's the reason why I came up with the podcast. This is called healing. I genuinely believe that our biggest problems and our biggest pains can become our biggest blessings and our purpose in a way. I don't believe but just because I've had quote unquote bad luck my entire life within love doesn't mean that I'm not actually supposed to meet the biggest soulmate ever. That could actually mean that I'm going to end up having one of those relationships because of all the work that I've done, because of everything that I've been through, where people look at us and go, how did you guys find each other? Because so many people settle earlier on in life. So let's have a more open and a growth mindset when it comes to our lives, especially this summer if we're going to do new things. I need to open my heart because I've been very shut off since I ended it with that guy because I think it was smart not to date, but I've just been like, don't talk to me, men. I don't want anything to do with it. I don't even want anything to do with the dating apps. Still don't. Anytime I've been asked out, I've said no, but I've still been seeing casually this guy that I've known for many years. And if I'm being really, really truthful, I've just been going between, well, that's fine. I'm still a human being. He's nice. I can trust him for what he is, or so to speak. But then the very spiritual and best self version of me is going,
don't you think you're blocking what you actually want deep down by way of doing the things you're doing?
And I have been swaying between those two quite a lot where I'm like, nah, I'm never seeing him again, to why not? And the decision, unfortunately, I have just come to, I don't know why I said unfortunately, is if I genuinely deep down want to be my best self, if I want to have growth in life, and if I want to invite in the greatest love of my life, I need to make decisions from that space. That's not going to be helped along by me continuing to live as the version I used to be. Even if I don't have strong feelings for the guy, it's just not going to help. And that's what I want you to take away from this, is to really look within and say, this summer, it's about living for my future self. And I know it sounds contradictory to the whole living in the now and being present, but why do you need to live for your future self? Because if you're not, you're just pushing her or him further and further away. If you are not happy with your life currently, you have to be able to step aside and let your best self take over, and then make decisions for that future self, because clearly the current you hasn't been doing the greatest job. The next thing I really implore you to do is something that I'm going to be doing myself. With the clearing out, I will also on Sunday, because it just feels appropriate, you can do it whatever day you want, I will be doing a social media detox, but that's the smallest part of it. I've talked about this for a couple of videos now. I'm going to fill out the 12-week year planner. If you haven't read it, please do. Because again, my intuition is just telling me that being very, very specific with actions that you can take that will facilitate your goal into fruition is kind of the key here. Because we can dream and dream, but if we don't sit down and get quiet and real with ourselves, it's never going to happen. You have to realize the things that you've been doing so far haven't brought you your best self. It hasn't brought your best life. And maybe you're like me where, yeah, but I'm on the path. I've done things. I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of you too. But it's a consistent process. And maybe you're seriously at the point where you feel like there's an aspect of your life where you're at rock bottom. Even more important. So take a day where you declutter, you don't take in external bullshit, and you get quiet. And it's gonna be uncomfortable. Get into a space the entire day where you allow yourself as many times as you can to sit down, write out whatever comes out, what needs to come out. Decide on one goal you're going to pursue. A month or two during the summer is gonna go by quickly. And you've probably had quite a few where you haven't done much. So take the time and let yourself pursue that goal, whatever it is, big or small. Write down whatever comes to you. And maybe you want to fill out the 12-week year as well. And if you want, I can make a video on how I do it so it kind of helps you out. I just know that it's so easy to get distracted, to take in too much information, and then you don't get things done. Now, one thing that I will mention here that is very fun, I think, is let's do some specific manifestation. If you don't use Pinterest, please start. If you don't want to, go anywhere else where you find inspiration. Now, I want you to find pictures that will resonate with your best self. If it's mostly health, get a bunch of health inspo, but do create a mood board for your best self because it does in fact help to have that in front of you, especially if you want to do manifestation and visualization, to really get into that mood and that mode where you kind of let yourself expand into that vision. Because I think a lot of times if you dissociate too much and you detach too much where you're like, yeah, that's a cool picture, but that could never be. That's a problem. That's a resistance we need to break through. That's your limited mindset. That doesn't mean you're going to look exactly like some person or girl you've seen. Trust me, I've tried. It doesn't work. We're trying to become our best selves here, right? So let's not waste our lives trying to be someone else. So what I want you to do with this, apart from making the board, and of course going back to it over the summer, is think of 3 scenarios that these pictures will represent that you would like to manifest during the summer. It could be, and don't tell people about it. It's something that you need to use during your meditations that you kind of get into feeling the vibe of what would it feel like to manifest this. It could be being asked out on a certain date. It could be a kind of beach trip, picnic trip. It could be finding like-minded people in a certain situation of what you want to do. But I just want you to not think about how it is, how it's going to come about, but feel into your body. How would these specific manifestations feel? Don't overthink. Don't try to rationalize. This part isn't about that. This is just 3 fun, specific manifestations, situations that you would like to see come about in the summer. And again, let your Pinterest also have the cute outfits, the romantic nights, the friend nights, the fun, and anything that represents your goal. Let yourself step into the mindset and the feeling of your best self when you do this. The last point I want to touch upon when it comes to this, that is majorly pivotal and essential to figuring out who you are and who you want to become and how you're pursuing your life, is expanders. If you've never heard of this, it's essentially people you find who live a life, who have a certain energy that will resonate with you. A lot of times it's just in one area of life. Like, I really admire their relationship or the way they communicate. I really admire this person's resilience. Literally this person's makeup skills or style, whatever it is. You can pick and choose, but write down at least 10 expanders so that you're covered in every aspect of life. Maybe even find them, if you can, on Pinterest. If it's someone in your personal life, amazing. Find a picture or write it down and write down what you love about them, because let me tell you, it's going to tell you so much about the things that you want in your life. Now, a funny thing, these are far from all my expanders, right? But I thought before I was writing down my own expanders that I had a lot more, let's just say, beautiful women that were my expanders, when I realized that trying to really get to the core of who I am and the person that I want to still become and the people I admire the most, the more vain part of life. And even though I have a lot of expanders, like I have to sift through them and choose, so I don't just write down every single person that I like a little bit. But one guy I really love is Ole Henriksen, he's very, very known. He has a very famous skincare brand, but as a Danish person, I absolutely adore him, and obviously know him very well here in Denmark because he's Danish. His skincare is great, but his story and his attitude, he's literally one of the most happy people in the world. He is so kind and so sweet, but he also has created this empire for himself. But he stayed such a great person throughout it all. The other person I keep going back to is Jane Fonda. Fitness, a woman, iconic. But her energy, there's something about it. And she's still so active and amazing in her, what is she, like 80 now? She's incredible. She's been through things, she's been through illness, but she's still so iconic. And another guy that maybe you won't know, but he's a swimmer, Ross Etchley, who he's kind of David Goggins if David Goggins was like a sweet little teddy bear, but he does all of these crazy things that you would really think you would have to tap into that kind of David Goggins darkness to get through, but he just has the most incredible mindset and like light and energy. And he's just very inspirational, and he seems to just uplift people and just be so excited all the time. Like, that's someone who's genuinely living their purpose, even though it requires a lot of resilience and a lot of energy put into it. You put a lot of resources. You have to really be aware and on point with what you're doing. And clearly he loves to be that. So taking these expanders, I'm seeing, oh, there's a lot about the physical side and pushing yourself in your body. Transformation, obviously. But it's these people's energy, their kindness, the way that they're kind of amused, but they're also they're so inspirational to people. That's what I love about them. And I wouldn't have put that together as like my main thing that I want to be in life if I didn't have these expanders. And that's why that is so powerful. So please do include that as well. But please do let me know if you want me to create more of an active community around this so we can kind of work together. Because I really want to know how many people now that we're not like, now that we only have about 500 subscribers, I do want to know how many actively would want to be in that. So yes, I am excited about having our best self summers, to have an amazing best self summer, even though where I live, it's not the greatest weather, but we're going to make it amazing and we're going to take it as a chance to really move forward in our lives. So I really hope that you're inspired and that you will do something with this energy, and I hope that you will come back for the next video. And I'd love to know more about your goals in the comments. So thank you so much for watching. And remember, I have a podcast on Spotify. This is called Healing, which is the episode you just watched now. But yeah, I will see you guys very soon. Bye, guys.